हाँ निकलेगा।
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible. Just give me a moment. I'll share the presentation. Okay, just confirm whether you're able to hear me and the presentation is visible. Okay, thank you. So this is also one of the topic which we are going to cover in IS 103. As discussed in our previous sessions, so in IS 103, we are covering the different kinds of industries and respective hazards and also safety practices to be followed to avoid the accidents. Okay. So in part of that, today we are talking about the safety in textile industries. Okay. Now we'll see what is the need of, excuse me, what is the need of safety in textile industry. If you see textile industry, it starts from again farming. How we have seen in the case of sugar industries. So there also it starts with farming from the farmland to it will go to the process plants. Then it gets converted into the thread. Then it is go for the stitching units. Then it's go for the customers for the usage. So similar way, it will happens in the sugar cane as well. So if you see here, it's especially for the safety with respect to this industry, as we know that the clothing is the basic need for all of us, and also with the modernization, the want of more and more attractive, durable, shining, anti-crease or colorful fabrics is increasing day by day. So that is true. When we are in kid, we don't have so many options. We don't have so many designs. We don't have so many different types of metal which can be used as a clothes. So nowadays, the different models have come, different designs have come, different color patterns has come into the market. So if you see the types of this textile industry, one is the cotton being a natural and also old product, light and human body, particularly for the hot days. The cotton textile is a pioneering and also the oldest industry. This industry started from 1970s, or if I'm not wrong, or not more, I mean, prior to that. I mean, not even 1970s or 1940 are older than that. So previously we have only one color, which is white. So we have only cotton clothing the people used to refer, or they used to use for the as a clothing. So after that, there are many fabrics have come, or synthetic fabrics, which is made by man-made fabrics have come into the picture. So, but the invention of a new fibers and natural and also synthetic, it has become a mixed industry, and the industry includes spinning, weaving, knitting, and also finishing of all the types of natural, synthetic, and also artificial fibers. The spinning, in the sense where they'll make the threads, and weaving will be they'll make the clothing. Knitting also, it is a kind of creation of a cloth from the threads of the cloth fibers. If you see for the creation of for the spinning or weaving or knitting and also finishing, definitely they need a machines. Vary from the handloom of cottage industry to one very expensive and also intricate modern machines, and some are only spinning mills and weaving units, and also dyeing and also finishing houses, while some are composite textile mills carrying out all the operations at one place. So sometimes these all activities will happen in one place, like we used to call as OEM, overall equipment manufacturers. So other way of telling it is being it is not an equipment, but there happens complete manufacturing process. Sometimes what will happen in one place only spinning happens, in other unit only weaving happens, in other unit only dyeing happens, in the sense applying colors to the specific cloth. Then in some places the stitching happens. So like that it happens, or some of the units they'll have capability of doing all kind of activities in one place. Okay, if you see here, the clothing industry, there are different kinds of fibers. These are the natural fibers which comes from a vegetable origin, like cotton from the seeds of the fruit, or kapuk or coir, or jute from the bast or flax or hemp, or rasamile, the sisal, or from the leaves. As we know, we are familiar with the cotton and also jute from the vegetable origin. If it's in animal side, they'll get the wool and also silk from the other filaments. If you see mineral origins, asbestos and also wallenstein. If you see in man-made fibers, artificial fibers are viscose rayon and also cupra rayon, and also filament and also staple fibers. These are the different kinds of the fibers which are in market for the usage. Then glass and chemical fibers, glass fibers made from the borosilicate and also silico-aluminum silicate. So if you see a glass fibers, you will immediately remember the insulation process. So wherever we have hot surfaces, where we used to use this glass fiber to insulate that pipeline or the equipment to avoid the loss of temperature, or to preserve the temperature instead of loosen. Then polyvinyl derivatives in the chemical fibers itself, there will get your polyacrylonitrile, etc., etc. Okay, these are the different kinds of fibers which are in the market. So we see what are the health provisions. So one is the cleanliness, removal of cotton dust from the work or the area where the people are working, and disposal of waste and also effluent from the, excuse me, and disposal of waste and also effluent from the dyeing and also printing process, good ventilation, temperature, lighting and removal of dust, and also fumes from dusty and heating area, artificial humidification required for the cotton fiber strength, and also the drinking water, latrines and also urinals, spittoons are applicable for the health provisions. So if you see here, effluent. So this textile industry also, it is very water intense process. Water intense means it requires more water for the processing of their clothes, especially in the dyeing unit or dyeing operations. If you see artificial humidification, we have this also one of the legal requirement in the Factories Act, section 15, which asks us to maintain the certain humidity in the workplaces where it is in a environment is not so comfortable for the people to work. So if you see artificial humidification is not allowed in the spinning or weaving factory when the room temperature is exceeds 29.5 or the bed bulb reading of the hydrometer is higher than the specified in the schedule under 19 in relation to the dry bulb reading and also hydrometer at the time. So the artificial humidification, in the sense we are humidifying or we are increasing the content of water content in the atmosphere. It is not allowed if the temperature is 29.5. And we have to make sure provision for the hydrometers to calculate the temperature. Then temperature to be recorded in the humidity register, which is form 6 at the each hydrometer. And specification of the hydrometers to be displayed, thermometer to be maintained at the efficient order, the inaccurate thermometer not used without any fresh certificate. If you are using any thermometers, so those thermometers should have a fresh certificate or it is calibrated. And no reading to be taken within 15 minutes of renewal of the water. Then if you see safety provisions, now we have seen the health provision. One is humidification. We see a safety provisions as per the section 21 of the Factories Act regarding the general machine guarding is applicable to all the textile machines. So this section 21 is applicable to the all other kind of machines where the machines is in motion or in rotation. So if you see in such a case, section 27 prohibits the employment of women or child in a cotton press room where the cotton opener works. So in especially this 27 is talking about only woman or child in a cotton press room is not allowed to work. If the feed end of the cotton opener is separated by a full proportion, and they can be employed or feed end side. This is due to the risk of a more flying cotton dust on delivery side and also hit injury when any revolving batter breaks or any solid metal is thrown out of the delivery side. In the sense, if you see, for example, this is in a machine where we are using making the cotton is feeding, it is becoming a bundle. So here we should not allow any people or child or woman this side. So here what will happen, there will be blades or beaters which will make the cotton very loose and also then it will become a bundle. In those cases, we should not allow women and also kids. Hoist, lift and also lifting machines provisions are applicable to those machines, and section 30 on revolving machinery is applicable to the hydro extractor to remove water from wet fabrics. And also the top cover of the revolving basket should be interlocked, and also safe working peripherals speed should not be exceeded. So hoist lifting machines. So this also we have sections, if I'm not wrong, section number 28 or 29. So whatever the lifting machines, tools and tackles which are there, those has to be calibrated once in 12 months. And also, if the section 30 on revolving machinery is applicable to the hydro extractor to remove the water from the wet fabric, this hydro extractor, what will happen? It takes out the excess water content in the fabrics. So the top cover of the revolving basket. So how it will remove? By revolving the fabric, it will take out the excess water in the fabric. So always the cover should be in a closed condition. In section 31 and also the rule 61 of the most important for pressure vessels to be used in a textile industry or jet dyeing or beam dyeing vessels or eager or Kayer drum washers, cooking pans or drying cylinders, the drying range and sizing cylinders, air receiver tanks, etc. are all subject of this provision, and their design, construction, use and maintenance must be safe. So whatever the pressure vessels, these pressure vessels also undergo for testing once in 12 months, if I'm not wrong, or internally it is once in 12 months, or it is by external once in 6 months. And they must be tested by the competent person periodically, and their safety devices like safety valves, pressure gauges, stop valves, drain valves, and PRVs or pressure regulator must be provided and maintained in a safe working conditions. Steam traps and vacuum breakers are also essential in this process. And with respect to precautions against toxic or flammable gas and also fire, also applicable to a textile process using the solvents and also cotton gordons. Wherever we are using any chemical which are toxic, those specific regulations also we should be following. Now, the printed fabrics will be thoroughly dried before feeding into the such machines to allow less solvent in the machine. Solvents is nothing but they are flammable in nature. So before feeding into the machine, we have to make sure that it is almost dry. To be third portion of the exhaust damper or flap should always be open. So that what will happen? Whatever the emissions or the fumes which is there in the machine, it will get evaporated. Then infrared ray heaters should be cut off while running the prints. Then electrical heaters should have separate circuit and also switch to isolate it at the time of emergency. What are the electric heaters in a drying process? So it should have a separate circuit in case of any emergency to stop it. Then leakage of solvent should not come in contact with the heaters. So whenever we have electric heaters, the solvent should not come in contact with the heaters. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be chance of explosion. Then exhaust fan drive should be interlocked with the main drive or the machine, so that when exhaust motors stops, the machine within the heating device should also stop. It is about the exhaust fan. So whenever the exhaust fan stops, what will happen? The machine also should stop. Whenever the exhaust machine is not in working condition, if the keep on machine is running, so what will happen? The fumes get accumulated in the whole working area. The thermostat to regulate the temperature of the heater and not allowing it to go beyond the or present the value. And explosion flaps to be provided at top to let off the fumes in case of any explosion. Filter gauge and also the exhaust duct should be cleaned weekly, and also V-belt tension should be checked and weekly. Trained supervisor to examine the machine and register to be maintained to all the checks. So whatever the machines we are using, the dryers and all, it should have a proper mechanism, and also checklist should be made available for regular checking. And if you see the welfare provisions, section 5 from 42 to 50 of the Factories Act is fully applicable to the textile factory and washing facilities, first aid appliances, canteen, lunch rooms and restrooms. Creche. The creche is nothing but, so if you have a woman employment 30 and above, the creche facility should be there in the creche facility. So where the employees' kids are accommodated for the mother workers. And also the welfare officer are required depending on the number of workers. So if the workers are more than 500 and above, the welfare officer will come into the picture. Like safety, 1,000 and above, one safety officer, and addition of every 500, you will going to add one extra safety. Then as per the factory's rules regarding health records and qualified supervisors, medical examinations, occupational health center, and also ambulance van, and also safety service are applicable to the hazardous processes in man-made fiber textile industries. If you see the Indian standards, there are a couple of or a bunch of Indian standards which are available for the reference with respect to the kind of motors they use, and also for the code of safety in cotton textile mills 3079, and also for the doubling and twisting frames and the wrapping spindle machines, etc., etc. This is for your reference slide. Who wants to go beyond this and also deep dive into this textile industry, you can refer this Indian standards. Now we'll see the process flow chart with respect to textile process. I'll just zoom in so that for better visibility. Yeah, as I told you in the initial, beginning of the class. So it starts from the cotton with seeds from the agriculture. So from the farmers, they will procure the cotton. Then it will go for the ginning process. Ginning is nothing but here the seed is removed from the cotton. Then press, it gives a bale. So what will happen once the seeds is removed from the process, then they will make as a bale. Bale in the sense it is a bunch in the shape of round or in the shape of cubicles. Then cotton or man-made fibers, bales, what will happen? Then opening, mixing, and also a blow room machinery gives a lap. So once the bales are ready, then it will go for spinning a preparatory process. So as we seen till from ginning or removing from seeds to the then till the press, it will comes under this ginning process. From there, the spinning preparatory process will start, or the man-made fiber bales. One is either cotton bales or man-made fiber bales. Then here what will happen, they'll start the opening of the bales and mixing, or blow room machinery gives the lap. Then carding machines gives the silver and the drop frames, and also superlap machines, covers, drop frames, fly or removing roving frames or interfaces. Here what will happen once the bales will be removed and also they have been beaten, then ring frames they will be using for the twisting of the yarn. Yarn is nothing but a thread. Then in the doubling frame, they use the twisting of the double yarns for adding extra yarn to the other end. Then winding machines, where they gives cheese or a cone of the yarn. Here the wrapping machines gives the wrappers beam, and also the pyron vending machines gives the weft for the shuttle. Here it will be comes under the weaving preparatory process. Then it will go to the sizing machines where it gives the size or wrap of the specific yarn. Then draw frames. Then it goes to the looms, gives a gray cloth in a sense without any color. Then shading or singeing gives the seasoning of the cloth. Then bleaching gives the bleached cloth. Here they will do a washing process. Then it will go for the dyeing where we will give the coloring to the cloth which we have made. Then it will go for printing. So polymerizing gives the printing of the cloth. Then sophonorizing, it is also part of the finishing process. Then it will go for folding and also or plating. Then the cloth bales will comes in. So this is how from agriculture to the till the cloth level. It is in a composite of a flowchart with a textile process. Okay, this is how it a small portion of in a plant area how it is works in. Okay. Now we'll see what are the different types of hazards and also safety measures for weaving preparatory and also weaving process. If you see hazards, is there nothing but the potential risk of people to get into injuries. There are different types of hazards which will present in. Expectedly, the guards should be provided on main drive or revolving drums, where the drum drive motors or timber drive, cam drives or travel pulley and also track neck conveyors drive or knotter carriage assembly and also spindle assembly should be covered. So don't get confused or don't be worried by this nomenclature exclusively. One second. Yeah. So generally, if you ask any questions, how they'll ask is they'll ask for generally what are the hazards with respect to the textile industry and also the safety measures to be followed to avoid the accidents. So there you need not to write all this. This thing and all, simply you can write that all the revolving machinery or motors should properly or effectively guarded. And also the gap between the moving parts of the conveyor and also the fixed parts should be checked all along its length and also reduce it to the minimum by suitable covers and bolts. So the gap between the moving parts of the conveyor and also the fixed parts to be checked on regular basis. Bobbins or sleeves used for the machines should be inspected for the broken edges and also burrs, etc. As also for their proper fitment and also driving spindles. Then hasting loading spindles with empty bobbins should be avoided. And also dust and other extrusion materials on spindle or moving and should not be removed while they are in motion. Dust collection blower and also bags are useful. When in the iron is in moving condition while in the spindle, we should not try to attempt the remove any part. Then automatic the windows like cone windows and also the spoolers prevent the hands reaching near the rotating drum or preferable. And with respect to wrapping machines, here the wrapping the purpose is to wrap the beam and also different types of wrapping machines are available. So here the wrapping is nothing but once the cloth is ready, they will wrap into the bundles. With respect to the wrapping, what will happen? The flanges of rotating beam should be properly guarded, and aluminum flange beam without a metal flange ring is safer. And metal flange ring may open or fly out and hit. So here what will happen? The rotating beam should be properly guarded. Otherwise, there will be a chance of the fly up of that specific rotating part. And the main drive, gear wheels, motor pulley, clutch pulley belts, and also other parts should be properly guarded. These are the general parts for all kind of machineries, rotating machineries. It is in a general parts will be there in all kind of machines. Nip between a driving roll and wrap beams should be guarded. Trip cum distance guard should be provided for the protection from rotating beams. Nip means what will happen? There are the wheels which will move towards each other. They are the portion of where they interacting together. That point we called as a nip points. So those should be properly guarded. And beam side distance guard rod or should be interlocked. The contact switch with a drum which drives the beam. Even the beam side distance guard. So distance guard in the sense we should not allow the people so much close to the machines to avoid the contact. Then multiple photoelectric devices is more safer, so that what will happen, this photoelectric sensors. So whenever the people are approaching to the process area or the point of operation, it will switch off the supply. Then hydraulic braking system should be provided to stop the beam within the shorter possible time. Then stop motion indicator lamp is useful. Then wheels of the movable stands should have guards. A dumb drive motor pulley, beam drive chains, and also beam ends, the section wrapping gears should be guarded. And also unsafe actions. So dashing against the rotating beams or leading the thread from the creel to the drum and removing a ball bearing from the shaft when the wrap roll or stepping on the sloping platforms of the machines and removing empty pegs from the bobbins or creels, loading and unloading of the beams can cause injuries. So when machines are in motion, they should avoid all these unsafe actions to avoid the accidents. And if you see hazards and safety measures of processing or finishing and folding machines, the general precautions will be the sharing, signing and also washing, bleaching, kyers, yarn and also cloth dyeing, printing, polymerizing and semaphering. These all are the processes where they use different kinds of machines. In running nips between the rollers and also similar parts, it has to be nips are inaccessible, should be securely guarded with the nip guards or bars along with the whole length or intake side. And in dryers and similar machines where there is a risk of access from sides to the nips, referred to the point number 2 we have discussed. And also the driving gear should be guarded to prevent such access. Then other machine parts such as main and counter drives or the belts or the pulleys, the shaft and also the gears and flappers should be guarded. It's about from where the main driver or the motors, from there we have the belts and the pulleys which they are using, and also the couplers for the rotation of the equipment. It should be effectively guarded. And removing crays from the die cloth and also the rollers should never be done when the machine is in motion. So removing of the crays, which is from the die cloths, we should not attempt to remove while machine is in motion. Fire and explosion hazards and also the control measures. There are, apart from this, with respect to machineries, we have fire and explosion hazards in this textile industry. So the cotton dust is not fine enough to cause any dust explosion, but it may certainly cause fire in any spark is available. So the cotton dust itself is not going to make this, but there are chances this happen in case of any spark available. The explosion hazards lies with the polymerizing or the curing machines where flammable liquids are used and therefore the explosion relief are required. Fire hazard is more in blow rooms or spinning sections due to loose and also the flying cotton, in the processing department due to the solvents and also chemicals. The solvents will be where they use for the coloring of those cloths. The main cause of fire in textile mills can also attribute to a failure of electrical equipment, sparks from the foreign material carried along in the cotton stocks, and friction, hot bearings due to the inadequate oiling and also attention. So then presence of excessive quantities of fly and also dust in the department, use of flammable liquids, and processing of cloth at the high temperatures. So here what will happen? There are many causes. If your equipment is not maintained well, if your equipment is not done proper preventive maintenance, or lubrication is not done properly, so then what will happen? It leads to any friction, unlubricated parts. So that there, what will happen? It will create a spark. Okay, then excessive amount of the flammable dust, or which is nothing but the dust in the atmosphere, then that also will leading to explosion. Then failure of electrical equipments, or you are not maintaining any trip devices or detection of your electrical systems. That also will leads to fire and explosion. And also the processing of the clothes or liquids, or processing of clothes at the high temperatures. That is also will lead to fire and explosion hazards. Again, the building and the construction, the textile mill buildings are classified as fireproof and also non-fireproof, and also the interiors. In order to minimize the risk of the fire, all the mill processes and also storage buildings must be fireproof construction, at least 6 hours of grading. So at least the equipments or the building materials I've used, it should be able to withstand for minimum 6 hours without from the collapsing. And the godowns for the cotton also finished products shall be essentially a single story structures and located 30 meters away from the spinning department and also the textile mills and the departments that requires separation by the perfect party walls in order to reduce the fire loads. And also baled cotton warehouses, cotton mixing and also blowing rooms will allow, and also thread extractor rooms, waste opening rooms and carding rooms, speed and also ring frames, small spinning departments, a preparatory section, loom sheds, and also the cloth processing houses, which should have a firewalls around the special hazardous process. So it should have proper separation between the each manufacturing process. And boiler houses and firing places must be separated from the all the process and also store building except the engine rooms and also like electric generating